If you don't live under a rock and you're interested in business, you've maybe considered buying a business. But today we're going to answer the question, should you consider buying a business in 2026? Has the landscape changed? Is it still a great time to buy one? Is it a better time to buy one? Are there different considerations in 2026 than there were in 2025 or 2024? We're going to talk about all that. We've got three interesting minds in here that are going to just hash it out and give our opinion. Take none of this as fact. We're just going to kind of tell you what we think and what we've seen when we've kind of dipped our toes into the landscape the last few years, made some acquisitions, gotten ourselves into some holdings, and just talk about it a little bit. And today we got a special guest on right here under my hand. We've got Grant Barnes on with us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We're happy to have you. He is a very special part of what we've got going on here. Grant is my partner in Scale for Sale, and we have had a really wild journey over the last couple of years, but mostly in 2025. We ended up doing three different types of deals that we've talked about in previous episodes, and that I've shared in other videos on the YouTube. But it's been kind of an interesting masterclass, if you will, in this exact question. Should you consider buying a business in 2026?
For sure.
I think the three of us all kind of like got together and started talking, and we're excited about this concept a couple of years ago. And that's what led to a lot of like what we've all dabbled into. But we've kind of found along the way, there's a lot more to consider than just what you see on the surface level. And so I think the first thing I think we should talk about and unpack is the question of, should you buy a business or should you start a business?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think most of us probably got into this off of the whole trend that was going around the last couple of years of like buying boring businesses. Like that's everybody kind of saw this with Cody Sanchez. You saw Pace Morby with the creative financing community. And I think a lot of folks got this idea of like, why would I start something when I could just buy one that already works? And I know, Brody and I, at least we got pretty schooled in that pretty early of it's not as easy as it seems. A lot of folks are just, they're jumping on this bandwagon of like, you got to buy something, you got to buy it. Don't worry about building it. Someone's already done all the hard work for you. It's like, those deals are not really easy to find. Like, they exist, they're out there, but like the right deal that lets you do that, it's not really easy to find. And then I think too, even if you find it, trying to get like the acquisition across the finish line fully is really hard. So like starting versus buying, I don't know. I think it's case dependent. Like what are we talking about? Are we talking about a specific industry? Are we talking about, a product-based business, a service-based business? Are you talking about like, you've got a great leg up with assets and you've got a great network, you can start something kind of from scratch out of the gate and be fine? Do you not have any of that and you just have a boatload of cash, you want to buy something? So I think you kind of have to put some conditions on it before you can start saying like which one's better.
It's kind of a weird question because it, like you said, it does come back from where you're at. I mean, you guys kind of got, I'd say you got almost the jumped in initiation of it.
For sure.
Where you, you found that zero down business that people talk about and ended up being way more than you bargained for, even with the combined knowledge that you both brought, the due diligence, even then ended up being like, just some headbanger days.
Yeah. No question.
I mean, I come from it with a different angle where I work full time and I exist in my day to day, but I have the backing of an SBA loan pre-financing deal, and I'm bringing cash. So for me, it's a lot more of do the numbers work because I don't have the time, so I'm gonna need to hire other people in to help me with it. So I think it really just depends, like you said, heavily on where you're coming from, but also the strategy that you're employing. Now, one is not better than the other. I mean, if you can get in for free, great. You got in for like free,
right?
Big asterisk there.
Yeah, nothing's free.
But if you have some cash, you got to figure out, okay, what's my ramp for me to replace what I have, but also to pay the right people to come in and pay good, intelligent people, not just my buddy who's down the street who says he can do it. He turned a wrench once. Yeah.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is like, as in any investing and buying a business is like, it's very much investing. You have to buy right. And where people go wrong is they buy too high and they end up having this asset that they overvalued it, then they paid too much for it, and they're not able to get a return on their money. And I think that's one of the most dangerous things that can exist in buying a business. And I think that's the thing that people should be the most careful of. That's the biggest thing that we've seen is there's this difficult landscape to navigate if you do actually find some of these deals and you find businesses that are for sale. Many of them over the last couple of years have just been dramatically overvalued.
Oh, terribly. Like, I mean, how many of these episodes have you guys done that I've watched you guys go through like listings on like Biz Buy Sell? And it's like they have $20,000 in revenue last year and they're asking $600,000 for the sale of their business because John thinks it's going to be with just a little bit of work, great things can happen. Oh, the business is poised for growth. It's just poised to go ballistic this year if just the right person can come and do what I couldn't do for the last 10 years straight. Right. Yeah. I think the business market, like the purchase market, got ridiculously overvalued as so many people rushed into like, I'm going to buy a business and it's going to be easy. I'm just going to leverage this cash and there's all this extra cash flow and I'll figure it out. I think a lot of people got burned in that too. Like, I think a lot of folks, like, it became a running meme. Like, I started seeing memes on like Instagram of someone being like, came from a great background of working like a white collar job. And now he owns like a plumbing business that loses $5,000 a month and he's working 80 hours a week. It's like, but I thought this would be easy.
I love watching the crash and burn of like the 90% because I feel like when you have that sort of fast cash course seller mindset, I do think that these people did not put enough barriers to entry on this thing. And, if you had, a little bit of money or you had somebody to help co-sign the loan, you can get a lot done. But, I mean, hey, in the grand scheme, I guess silver linings, I'll be the unpopular one. That reduced the competition by a lot, man. They go under, your sales go up because they're not around to service anymore.
And that's part of the conversation we need to unpack about 2026 too, that I think is kind of exciting for the three of us.
Oh, that's why J. Cole is calling his album The Fall Off. That's
a great
why,
point.
Because the businesses,
fell off. Yeah, J. Cole's he's a big business investor, as you know.
Yes, I'm sure he got burned on a plumbing company too.
We have a comment from the audience too. My friend Zach says, "Founder syndrome. What's the ROI on blood, sweat, and tears?"
That's a great question.
It's a really good question.
What's your blood type?
It's the key.
I could find a value.
Do you have diabetes?
Blood type is hustle.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, it's a real question you've got to ask yourself if you're asking should I buy or should I start? I should mention that this particular Zach has acquired, last time I talked to him, like 12 companies or something like that.
Way to go, Zach.
I think is where he's at. Zach is a stud. So shout out Zach.
Monster.
He's in the financial services space and has like continuously grown his company by acquiring other books of business.
Well, I mean, you guys have also recently actually donated.
He updated you went now.
20. Oh, excuse us. Sorry.
20. Like I said, Zach.
Also, a couple of the failing ones our way.
Yeah, man. Hey, come on, leave some for the rest of us.
God damn.
But getting
like
to this,
you guys have
2026.
But like, just to piggyback, like you guys did jump into the startup space actually recently. Technically, you guys you went against the grain.
Yeah, we pivot. Well, I mean, we pivoted a little bit. I mean, it's still the idea of like, I think what we went away from was like buying the business, and we looked more at like, is there a way for us to like, I mean, lack of a better term, like buy a good partner. Like, is there a way for us to like buy the right operator, like buy the right scenario, right? Because like ultimately in a lot of these businesses, what are you buying? You're trying to acquire like labor capital, or you're trying to acquire some type of asset capital. You're trying to acquire a book of business. Like you're trying to get something through that when you buy a business, right? But a lot of times what we realized is all of these businesses hinge on really great instincts from the initial person who founded it or started it or grew it in the first place, right? So like we just pivoted away from thinking, can we buy the business that's fully finished, and can we just get involved with the right people that maybe have the opportunity to grow their business or are already growing a business and just want to try something else out.
Bringing cash to expand the business without kind of dipping into the main business, essentially.
Correct.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, well, I think so many folks we noticed just and I get it, they're emotionally tied. They're married to their company. They founded their company. So this idea is either they're going to make a full exit, which is they like dramatically overvalued what their company was worth, like we all joked about a moment ago. Or they wanted to make a partial exit, and some of these partial exits didn't make sense for us. We ended up just finding ways to get involved, and we had some equity or some ownership in it, and it just didn't work out the way we had expected to, because the person needed to really get out of the way and they weren't ready to do that. So I think part of the positioning for us was trying to figure out what makes the most sense moving forward. So to answer the question in 2026, like, is it better to start or buy? maybe you're going to find like a hybrid. Maybe there's kind of like a blend of both. Maybe you are kind of like buying into something that you're starting fresh. I don't know. I don't know what the best case scenario is. I think it matters on your background, your history, what you know, what you're bringing to the table, and who's in your network as well.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, to get at what we did in 2025, we tried to just take what the market was giving us and roll with that and make our deals based on what was there and what made sense and what could be done profitably and scrappily. We're really like a fledgling micro private equity firm is what we are. And so we didn't have the backing of a giant fund behind us to go and take these giant swings. So we just tried to do it more the scrappy way and kind of like get involved in these holdings that could grow without giant capital investments. And then at the end of the year, we did decide to make a lot bigger capital investment. We made one that was bigger than anything we had really looked into doing before. And I think it's paid off so far.
Definitely.
But what that one was, is it was basically like a spin-off kind of deal is what I would call it. So we actually started a new division under an existing brand, a business that was growing very fast. So not quite an acquisition, but it was, like Grant said, it was acquiring access to a brand that had a lot of traction.
Right. I think that I want to go back to the idea of like, what's the ROI on blood, sweat, and tears? I think you kind of have, like, I want to pick that apart for a second. Like, I mean, because I've done that. Like, I've started a company, right? Like, built it from scratch, built it up, did really great with it, had great years, had terrible years, like sold part of it, had to close some of it because it didn't work out. Like, there are so many more variables to starting something off on your own. But like, what's the ROI on it? I mean, endless. Like, the potential's ridiculous. At the same token, like, where are you in your life? Like, when I was starting businesses like that and growing them, I was like 22, 23. Right. Like, I had a girlfriend, but like wasn't that into her, I wasn't committed to the relationship. I didn't know if this was going to go anywhere. I wasn't even committed to where I was living. I was like in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee first, and then moved to Alabama, middle of nowhere, Alabama. So it's like, what else am I going to do with that time? I was going to go to the bar and get messed up, or just, sit around and play video games all day. Like, who cared? It was like, I can invest all my time and energy into this. Now, I'm married. I've got, an incredible position in my place where I'm at now in Orlando. I've got a great network, great people around me. I've got great businesses. I don't want to lose any of those things. So like, start something up fresh today, like off the ground, me in the driver's seat 100%, probably not going to happen. Right. So like, I think it's like, where are you in your life?
It's a younger or more singular individual's 100%. Game. Because I don't think if you have more responsibilities of the quote adult life, that much it's harder. You're going to be sacrificing a lot of things that maybe weren't there to be sacrificed, a number of years ago. So it all depends on that. But it also depends on your cash flow. I mean, if you're 22 and you got cash on hand, you're going to probably find a lot more success buying something or spinning off something with somebody who's trustworthy, and scaling that. You're going to burn yourself out a lot less too.
It's a great point. Well, and I mean, I got so much respect for the older guys and gals that like decide they're going to start their own business too, that actually have stuff to lose. And then they're still like, no, I'm gonna go out and do it. Like, one of the guys we're working with right now, I don't think he's probably like in his mid to late 30s. He's not that old. But he was in white collar forever, like was in a finance side at a private equity company, and then just decided like, screw this, I want to go do plants.
And has 3 kids.
Has 3 kids, right? And it's like pretty much the sole income for the family now. Just like washes away, I'm sure, a very handsomely paying job to go and be like, I'm gonna go put trees and bushes and stuff in now. Like, I've got so much respect for that. Like that, I mean, the brass balls you have to just be like, I'm going to go out there and start from scratch at that age and with that type of responsibility. And I mean, so far so good. I mean, he's doing pretty well.
Doing very well. Yeah.
Going to get more successful, obviously, as I think, I hope, as we continue to kind of have some impact there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I guess the question is, you guys see a lot of this stuff. Do you think there's still opportunity for buying businesses in 2026, like the businesses that people can afford? I'm not talking about buying the 10 million, 15 million, $20 million established company. I'm talking about being able to buy what the SBA is going to loan you. So being able to get something for $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, based on what you guys have seen on the market these days. Do you think opportunity still exists?
I do. I think the opportunity in 2026 is getting a little bit better, in the sense that I think it's going to be easier to buy right. Because I think a lot of business owners were trying, on the flip side of this wave of like buy a boring business, it's going to be exciting. Every boring business owner now that has a decent sized business is getting these emails
True.
weekly, maybe even daily,
Yeah,
like,
the
hey,
cold
can I
emails
buy
are
your
crazy.
business?
Yeah.
It's like they're getting peppered with it, and they've been used to that. They were getting it all 2025. That many of them have probably kind of experimented with the idea a little bit and maybe had some conversations. Maybe things have gone well, maybe it didn't work out, maybe they've had a couple failed attempts to sell their business.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of them have probably been humbled a little bit, actually,
for sure.
because this huge wave happened of like, hey, there's so many people wanting to buy your business. That's going to inflate the ego. But then the ones that have actually gone through the process of looking into it, okay, what's my business worth? What's my valuation? Oh, you don't have consistent growth the last couple of years. It's been kind of rocky. Well, I'm sorry, it's not really worth that much. I think a lot of them have gotten legitimate offers that probably knocked them down to size a little bit.
Created some blindness. Yeah.
It kind of like cleared the blindness a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And so I think because so much of that has happened in the market now, I think that the deals are going to be a little bit matured, if you will. They're going to be a little bit more kind of like locked into, okay, here's what I could actually get for my business. Here's what the market will actually provide at the level that I'm at. And I think that means it might be time to strike.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of folks that are disappointed when they find out how much their business is actually worth.
I don't know if there's a lot of folks that are happy about what when they find out what their business is worth.
Yeah, no question.
I just don't think it's going to be as easy of a time to buy anymore, though, because of the tightening down of a lot of criteria and a lot of loaning
Great point.
potentials.
Yeah, SBA's gotten really tight.
Yeah, banks are also going to tighten down as well. As the prices come down, it will also, I think, a lot of sellers are going to rightfully start to become more and more discriminatory with who they sell to.
Sure.
Because of how I think what we're seeing is the crash of the early 20s with people they know businesses getting sold and going under.
Yep.
They will feel that. I mean, how many buyers and how many people who are business owners you talk to where they're like, I really need this thing to keep going after I sell it. It's
right.
The emotion. They're good to sell, but they just want to know it's in good hands.
100%.
That's going to be ever prevalent. So I think it's going to be, you can come with the cash, you can come right, you can come maybe over asking, but most sellers now, because they're going to have to drop their price, they're going to be with a magnifying glass on your credentials, who you're bringing, and what you're actually going to be able to do when what you're going on here.
Coming to acquire, like whoever's actually in that position to take it, right?
And I think it's because a lot more sellers are going to be doing seller financing and creative financing because they're going to want this business to succeed as they're phased out. So they need to have somebody who's going to actually be successful with them to get their money.
Yeah.
I think they're also increasingly concerned with how quickly the business landscape is changing. Search is changing quicker than we've ever seen before. And like Google ads are not necessarily working exactly the same as they were working before. A lot more is going towards Meta, and those platforms are changing how they work very fast. Many businesses depend on these different advertising platforms and search, and a lot of that stuff is changing fast. So I think we're also seeing these aging business owners start to lose confidence in how easy it's going to be for them to steer their ship forward in these coming years.
Something about this conversation, and we've done this a few times, you and I, Brody, gone back and forth on these ideas. Like when we're talking about starting or buying a business here, it's like what I'm feeling a lot of times in the service space is like the businesses that are for sale, they don't really have any competitive advantage. And so I go back to thinking about Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. He said this 100 times and it influenced my thinking too, is like, okay, you're going to go get a loan from the SBA, right? They're going to give you $1 million to go and buy this business from this guy. With $1 million, can you just beat him? Like if you just took that money and did it yourself and just hired the right people and used your right systems, would you be able to beat these guys out? Because a lot of these companies, especially in the service space, their brand is not that great. Their online presence is not that great. Their advertising, their marketing is okay. Okay, they have some senior people that have worked there for a long time and they have some knowledge. Like a lot of the businesses we've looked at, I don't get excited about them because I'm just like, dude, I would rather take that money and just run it myself, create something else, as opposed to hand it to this guy for a business that he's half-baked for the last 8 or 10 years. He's made his same $200,000 a year and then stopped. And now he wants me to pay 3x on it. It's like there's been a lot of businesses like that we've looked at that just they're not leveraging any modern technologies. They're not really doing well in their advertising space. They're still, everything's referral based. It's like, I'm supposed to give you 3x on this for what? For what? Because you've got like a technician who's been there for 10 years and he's got some good knowledge. Like, you're struggling in the labor market just like everyone else is. If you lose him tomorrow, that business is going under. You know what I mean? So
also, but would you be able to get an SBA loan for the same amount? I mean, the SBA is tough right now, like we talked about, but would you be able to get an SBA loan for the same amount to start a startup as you would to buy an existing business?
I think it depends. I mean, if the SBA is going to lend you that money, you probably have a decent credit profile and you probably got good income, because the SBA is looking at that anyways right now, right? They're not just lending that type of money to anybody. Like, half the time the business looks great on paper and they still won't lend you the money because your credentials aren't okay. So like, the guys who are actually getting approved for this stuff right now are still, they could probably go and get a decent loan. Maybe not that size, but even a quarter of that size, I think you can beat half of these businesses out.
I mean, I know from dealing with the SBA and some very, very senior lenders that have been recommended to us from friends of the show that when the SBA is leaning towards giving you money, like you said, you like on your own, you're maybe going to get a quarter to a little over that, but because they're saying 80-ish +% of their loan reasoning is based on that business's cash flow. So like, that's what they're looking at. They're saying, look, if you have the worst year and you're a complete moron, could this business, is it stupid proof? And that's why they're like, yeah, $1 million. Because we know if you just don't pay yourself, you can pay us.
And it's assets.
I was going to say, aren't they looking for assets a lot these times, like these days as well? Like, they want to see that they own their equipment or they own the building or something, right? Like,
they like to, they're just hedging against what you would mess up.
Yeah, I don't know. I just struggle with a lot of these brands. I'm like, you have 70 good reviews on Google. You have 100 people in your Facebook group on whatever, and you want 2.5, 3x on your earnings. Like, come on, dude. I just don't. It's so easy for things to go wrong in some of those businesses. So I don't know. I just feel like if you're trying to decide between starting and buying, is the business you're buying, does it have legitimate competitive advantage in the market? Something. It doesn't have to be the best. Obviously, it wouldn't be for sale otherwise. But like, is there something there established besides just a couple pieces of equipment and a senior technician?
But also, could you do it yourself?
That's my thing. I think I could.
You think you could do HVAC yourself?
Oh, like turn the wrench myself? No, but I could find that guy that works there, right? And that's my guy. He's been here for 10 years. He knows everything. That's what you're buying. You're buying him. If I offer him 20 grand more to come work for me instead, would he come?
You're gonna need a license though.
That's what I'm saying, though. But okay, but that's coming with the owner. Why don't I just pay him for the license, let him close his business? If he doesn't sell it, which a lot of these guys aren't selling because they want too much for their business anyways, they're going to have to shut the doors. And that's what a lot of these guys are doing anyways. They're not getting sold because they're not realistic with their offer. And then they're just shutting down, or they're riding it all the way down to the bottom. So then what if I come to you a year afterwards and just say, hey, you want to make 20 grand a year by letting me use your license instead? And then go hire his tech? I don't know. I feel like a lot of these guys don't have things established enough to make it worth, okay, it's on paper, it's making 300 grand. So, the business math says I'm supposed to give him 2.5, 3x on it. It's like, no, I don't feel it.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, where does that business math come from in the first place? It comes from speculation.
Sure.
Right. Like the stock market, when you buy a stock expecting that you're going to be able to buy it low and sell higher later, you're betting that there's going to be a market for it that's like that higher later.
Yeah.
So when these small businesses sell for a multiple, really, like, the people that are usually buying them are betting on the fact that they can increase the size of them and sell them for more later. And I think the biggest place where that comes from that we've seen is private equity and these roll-up plays that they do, where they take a platform company, they buy that for a multiple, and then they buy a few more for a multiple, and they just in a very short amount of time, quicker than they would probably be able to do in startup format, are able to sell that whole thing as a package.
They also have a person in mind, I think, to sell to already.
That's the thing. And that's what I was getting at. Yeah. I think the question gets at, like, does that same private equity playbook apply for Joe an individual?
Right.
Or just someone who is trying to, like, come out of a job or something like that? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. I think that a lot of times the answer might be no if it's all cash required up front, but the answer might be yes if you can have a more creative deal.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, I just think folks look at it like real estate. They think like, oh, I'm going to get these 3-4 businesses and I'm going to be able to roll them up and sell them, because that's what they keep saying on social media. And it's like the market for businesses is totally different. than the market for real estate. Like, yeah, you can probably find someone to buy a couple blocks of houses. It's easy to get underwritten for that. But like when you start looking for those big roll-ups and someone's going to have to pay 10, 15, 20, 25 million, there's a very small select group of people you can go to.
When you're in the flipper mentality, you're basically just you're a gambler. Go to the casino, you'll have about the same odds.
Exactly.
And probably be a lot less poor at the end of it. Because like we've always talked about, the way we approach it is when we buy and we go into a business, we're treating it like we'll hold this till the day that we die.
Sure.
Because if you build something, like, you want to hold it till the day that you die, and you implement all the things that you would want it to do, so that it would run with the goal of you not having to be involved in it. When you build a system, you build a company, you start working like that and expanding. Right. That's when you have a very marketable thing to do.
Sure.
You have people would want to buy that. That's something that people actually like. It's like taking a car, trying to flip it just because
right.
you buffed out some of the scratches, but the engine still smokes, and there's white smoke out the exhaust.
Yeah.
It runs though.
Right.
It does run somewhere to the shop, but I think just trying to buy a bunch and flip, you're never going to see the returns or possibly break even that you would if you built something to last.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you have behind you. I think, like, going back to what I was saying before, like these big private equity companies that are doing it, they have real legitimate, like, intense resources to pour into it immediately. And they're usually pouring working capital into the businesses that they acquire while also acquiring other businesses. And they're just betting on, hey, I can speed this up a lot faster than this business would be able to grow on its own and rapidly get to that level. But as an individual, I mean, maybe you can't take those kinds of swings. Maybe you got leveraged just to buy the one.
But I think even there, the private equity market, like, those guys are looking for businesses now that have some competitive advantage also.
Yeah.
Like, they're not buying that. That's why I was kind of going with that. Like, they're not buying the regular business with just good, strong numbers anymore. Like, they're buying they're buying the business with good, strong numbers, and also some type of unique selling model, some opportunity for cross-selling, some big chunk of market share, some, something. They're looking for more now, I think, than just like profit and and consistency.
But that is the 5 to 10 million range, I would say, safely.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think anybody who's doing that 1 to
3
is really hitting on anything crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If they are, swoop in and grab it, but they're also looking for patents. They're looking for people who are trying to reinvent stuff. They're looking for people who are trying to, like, make stuff better, because they can sell a patent if they can because they have the processes. I've heard about this, that the patent sometimes is worth, because they know how to get it going, it's worth more than the business at times.
Yeah. Does we have a question there?
We have another comment from Zach. He says, if you're good, would private money be preferred? Less red tape and more flexibility, maybe?
Depends who it's coming from.
Yeah, I think, what are the terms?
Careful who you get in bed with.
Well, I mean, again, anytime you take leverage from anyone, like, you have to consider, like, if you're doing it ethically, it's your responsibility now to return with a gain to your investor, right? Like, and I think a lot of people don't see it that way. They're just like, oh, I got funded. And it's like, great, now the hard work actually starts.
Or the worst I've heard a few times is like, oh, well, I mean, they're taking a risk. Like, it's not my risk to bear.
Yeah, like, if I burn them, that's fine. I'll just get someone else, or I'll just move to the next one. It's like, yeah, do that at your own great peril. I mean, because folks don't want to be messed with first there. And then also you deal with a legal battle afterwards as well if you really screwed the pooch. But if you look at the situation when someone says, taking private equity in, or private money in, private lending in, I think it really just depends on who are we talking about and what are the terms. Is it someone who has business sense? Because for me, that's the biggest thing. I'm not going to take money from anybody who hasn't either ran their own business or understands their own business or has been a part of some serious business play, because you're just setting yourself up for missed expectations. Like, you're going to set yourself up for the guy, like, I hate, and I've heard it a lot, where the guy's like, oh, I'm a doctor, he's been in medicine his whole life. He's saved a bunch of money because he's successful at or whatever. And so he's like, now I'm going to start investing in home service businesses. I'll give you $500,000 to go do this. That's the worst guy to take money from, in my opinion, because he has no concept, no idea of what type of obstacles or headwinds you're facing. And if you don't return or deliver right away, he's upset and he's on your, he's on your ass 24/7 trying to figure out what's wrong. And you can't have a conversation with them because they don't understand it.
It's one of those things where private money is, what you are now is you're an investment platform. You, the individual, are the investment platform, and you have to treat it like anybody, like I always say if you can't get close to or exceed what the S&P 500 would give somebody,
sure, don't do it.
Just don't do it, because then everybody always says, "Oh, well, I could have gotten more from the S&P." Well, then you should have done it then, Craig. Like, damn, dude. Or what I've said, do a lockup. Say, okay, you give me this money. By the time this is what I want to give you back year over year, and after either 3, 5, or 10 years, you'll have this is the return.
Yeah, no, that's
you can at least that way they'll at least have an end amount, and you'll know what you have to get them by X time, and they can't really say much because it's a lockup, it's a contract, you're legally protecting, you have time.
Yeah.
Well, there's also what gets put in the contract, and then how are they actually to deal with during the term of that contract. So I think you got to think about both of those. And I also think you got to think about, like, what kind of position is this person putting themselves in? Are they leveraging themselves pretty hard to put themselves in this investing position?
Right.
Are they getting in above their skis to get to that point? Or is this just shaving off a little bit of their massive portion of wealth just to take a small risk with you? That's the questions I think I would be asking myself.
Yeah.
Like, how much risk can they bear? Because if they're taking off a small portion of their wealth to make this lending, then they're going to want to see their return, but they're probably not going to be trying to influence change where that change maybe shouldn't be happening in the play. Zach says, how clear is the path to the ROI?
Yeah, sure. Exactly. That's a great point. Yeah. How easy is it for them to sort of see the vision there? I think also, if you're taking private money, do you have a really clear understanding of what's happening with that? And then, like, are they coming in as a strategic partner? Or are they coming in as purely money? If they're coming in as purely money, is that defined and expressed and understood to them that, like, you're just a silent investor and I'll get you the returns as it comes? Because, like, everyone thinks once they put money in it, they're like, well, I put my money in that, so now I have a voice. It's like, but should you have a voice here? Do you have something to add to this?
We used the example of the doctor before. I'm sorry, I'm going to say something that some people might like. I'm sorry if there's any doctors on here. Doctors are not good business people.
No, they're not. They're not.
Doctors are some of the worst business people I've ever met.
And they shouldn't be. They should be practicing whatever their medicine is and being really excellent at that,
I would disagree on that one, but speak your piece.
Well, most of them have, my point is like, most great doctors have a great office manager. And that's the business person. That's the person who understands how to hire people, fire people, maintain payment plans, look at payroll, look at labor costs, look at material costs. Like, that's the person who runs the business. The doctor does doctor stuff,
Yeah,
they're the liability.
Why is he telling me I need fluminaminoxanil every time I go in the office, and he's got 42 pens of that?
That's a great point. I mean, I'm not saying, well, you can be a great salesperson and a terrible business person. But
a great doctor.
Yep.
I've seen tons of that as well.
They're just not good business people
in general. I mean, I don't want to exclude all doctors. I'm sure there's
go look at 300 doctor practices and see how many of them successfully sold.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I've got a great story for you guys after this about that. I don't want to blast it on air here, but
I just think it's kind of like that rule of, if, like, you're not willing to lose it, don't bet it.
Yeah.
And that's what business is. You're betting on this.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter how guaranteed it is. Like, we've even seen a decline. I was always a person that said, if I, when I get to a certain net worth, my goal is to get to the net worth where somebody would sell me a McDonald's franchise. Cause I'm like, those things print money.
Sure.
Those are not printing as much money as they used to. So clearly, even the best, even the solid wins, no brainers, are on the downtrodden.
Well, we have to realize something. The business landscape has shifted and is shifted dramatically post-COVID, right? Like, businesses that were surefire bets pre-2020, right, are not surefire bets anymore. Business models that were working for 30, 40, 50 years are not working the same. There's been a massive shift. Now you add in all the extra shifts that are going to happen with AI. You add in the additional shifts of the labor market being tremendously difficult because the cost of buying labor has gone up really high, and you can't really squeeze that much more out of your customer. We're in a really, like, tenuous and difficult time for business owners, right? So, it's there is no surefire bet. There is no, like, you just buy this business and it was doing good for the last 10 years. It's going to keep doing good. Like, what are the new headwinds that they didn't account for? Because a lot of the business owners we're talking to, they're just struggling with labor. They can't keep people. They can't hire good people. They can't train people. They can't manage good people. So can you answer that coming into this business you're about to buy? Do you have a really good way of fixing that? Because if you don't, that's where I think most business owners should just avoid it fully and just run something, start it off on their own and have much less risk. Maybe the real question is, how much risk are you willing to take on? Because people go, oh, buying the business is less risky. Oh, really? You've got 20 people whose lives depend on you now. You just bought their job. To me, that's the risk I think about. Like, there's the financial risk and like risking someone's capital. I always think about the people in those businesses, because I've had businesses that I've done really well and seen people's lives go, dramatically change and their worlds get better. And I've had businesses fail. And when a business fails and you got to let go of 10 people, there is nothing harder and there's nothing that weighs more on your conscience than knowing, like, I screwed up. You don't even think about the money. You don't even think about the loss. You just go, John and his 2 kids that I saw at the Christmas party last year, they're not, like, he doesn't have money to take care of them today. And maybe he's going to find work somewhere else, but he was trusting me to get this across the finish line, and we failed. Something happened. So, like, how much risk are you willing to take on when you're buying a business? And it's a surefire bet. That's the question in my mind.
All great questions. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Should you be considering buying a business in 2026? Have you bought a business? Are you someone who is thinking about buying one? Are you in the middle of trying to grow one that you bought? What do you guys think?
I don't think if you come to it without the ideas and the mindset that Grant was just talking about, I just don't think you're cut out for it. Everybody wants to make money, but not everybody wants to take care of people. So
100%.
if you don't want those nights where you're like, shit, I got to make this work because otherwise there's a lot of people whose lives are going to be upended.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do this. Don't get into it. We don't want you.
Yeah. That's a great way of saying it. Yeah, because I think folks get into business selfishly a lot of times, right? They just think about themselves, their current goals, their current objectives, their financial interests. Oh, I'm going to buy this business and it'll go from 200, it'll be worth 600. It'll go from 600, be worth 2 million. Like, you don't think about all the steps that go into that along the way.
The people that go into it along the way.
The people, that's the big thing. Every business that I've looked at these days that's doing well or conversely doing bad, it has to do with the people that are inside of it. They have great products, great services. They're struggling still because they just can't figure out how to get out of their own way. You
guys had to do a lot of that with the business that you got into earlier last year.
Yeah, there's a lot of changing personnel.
A lot of house had to be cleaned.
Yes, 100%. And that was
cleaned up the culture.
Day one, day one, before we could even touch anything else. I think Brody and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, we've got a clean house. Like, there's just some bad culture. There's bad habits.
And it's not like you were happy about it. It was just, unfortunately,
it's the worst part of it.
Awful.
But you're like, man, you guys can't see that you guys are the ones making the problems. And now we have to point it out to you in the worst way possible.
Well, you also get where, like, the demonization of private equity companies comes from when you're in this experience, because you're like,
I lost track of how many times in 2025 I looked at Grant and said, you either die the hero or you see yourself
long enough to become the villain.
The villain,
yeah, because it was like, we can think our way out of this.
Thanks
problem.
for joining, by the way, Zach. Good to have you in. Thanks for commenting too. And congrats on 20 acquisitions.
Yeah,
that's
Jesus, man,
fucking nuts, dude.
Amazing. Nice. We can think our way out of this problem, right? We that's what we kept telling ourselves. Like, oh, it's not. Don't worry about the person. Don't worry about that guy or this girl, whatever. We can just think. We can fix that. We can make a system that solves this problem. And then we try a system, try to build something else on top of it. Try a different maneuver, a different method. It's the person that's in the way.
I can't think of the amount of times that, I think working with my mom, having just people that just were not good culture fits. The amount of time and rope and like sit downs and meetings and like, the like performance reviews and like the gentle reminders, the more like, hey, you gotta
plan,
not even pips, just being like, hey, you really gotta like, you please, like, for us, for the team. And they're like, yeah. But then they'll go back and they talk, and many times those people, they'll talk a bunch of trash. They don't actually want to be there. They're just milking it.
100%.
And I found a lot of times those people wanted to get fired.
No, yeah, they're waiting for you.
The quiet quitters.
Yeah, not quiet quitters. Just people just refusing, just like deliberately just going against the grain just to see how far they could push it because they didn't want the job.
Right.
They just wanted to get fired. So it doesn't make it any less painful to do it because usually it's always an ugly Band-Aid rip. But it's the worst part of owning a business.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a big thing for us to have to experience. And so I think, like, I don't know. I feel like for your average person today buying a business, you need to have some type of experience or you're going to get crushed.
Or you need to go into it with people who have been in the industry, know it, have lived it. Because it will eat you up. And even if you are eking out decent profits, if you're not building the core, you're not going to last long.
Yeah. Well, it got compared to real estate, and that was the thing. And real estate's just so much safer. Like I don't want to say it's idiot proof, but like you buy a house, you fix up a few details of it, you rent it out, you collect the check every month. There's your cash flow.
There's a lot of idiots online though who tried to do fix and flips and Airbnbs, and they're all crying. Well,
Airbnb is a different story because to me that's a business. Like you need to know how to market and sell your property.
Oh yeah, I exited and like a short-term rental home that we bought in 2022 last year.
Yeah.
And we were renting it out on Airbnb the whole time. It just barely covered mortgage.
Exactly.
Like most of the time, the whole time. We made good money on the equity of the house, luckily, because it was in a good area that was growing. But like the actual rental during the time just barely covered mortgage.
You've been better off just doing
there was multiple months where it didn't cover mortgage.
Exactly.
And so it's, yeah, I mean, Airbnb is totally a business.
Yeah. Oh, it's a business. But so my point with that is that like, you know, the communities got kind of tied in together at one point. It was a lot of folks that were like buying houses that was like, why did I just buy a business? Right. Like if I've heard about this. I know how that works. Instead of doing real estate, better ROI in buying a company. Right. The difference is like the company has 1,000 moving pieces all at once. The home has like 2. Can you rent it out? And is it ready to rent? Like, can someone live there? Right. And then is it in an area that's going to appreciate, or do you have to worry about insurance? There's very small details there, but like, they're not the same. And there's a lot of folks that are out there buying businesses right now are looking at it that like they're getting into it and they're not prepared for all the things that go along with it. So yeah, I think to your point, like, do you have the crew?
Yeah, I saw, I don't know why Pace Morby is doing business stuff now.
He is a lot.
Well, because he's gotten to the level.
It's a flash in a pan.
Oh yeah. His community, it's a flash in the pan for that part of it, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got crazy cash where he could just buy something and then buy the people to
He'll
come
be
and run
fine. Yeah. He's very obviously
his operation has gotten to the level where he's like, make no mistake, he's not just in real estate, he's running a giant business.
Massive.
So for him, like, he has the business experience
already. Yeah.
That's what people don't see. I think his community got so big for real estate because real estate has less moving pieces and you can just get into it that way. But I think it would be a big mistake to think that his advice is going to carry the same weight and work the same for business buying.
Well, people are going to listen.
Oh yeah.
They keep showing. He was actually just here in Orlando. I think he had like a big,
I think he comes pretty often
showing here.
Yeah. This is one of his main hubs. But again, you got to look at cash at disposal versus, you know, he ain't taking out SBA loans likely. He's probably if he does have financing, he's got a banker that will give him a much better rate.
Yeah.
So always have to consider it.
At the core, what he teaches, I think, is probably the only really viable strategy in my mind if you are looking to buy a business in 2026, which is that there has to be a heavy amount of seller financing. And that's something that he talks about a lot. Like everything for him is creative financing, right? So in 2026, yeah, if the business is selling for $1 million and you can convince the guy to seller finance 850, do it. You know what I mean? Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to give the business back and you're going to take a loss of 150 grand, right? But I think in these businesses right now that they're wanting all the cash up front, or you've got to get the whole thing funded to even get your foot in the door. Like I think it's very risky. Seller finance is a different story. They're on the hook to help you figure out a way to make it successful. You've got plenty of time to figure out your debt service and your debt horizon, like when things are going to get paid back. To me, that's the smartest thing to do. So his community learning those tactics on how to have that discussion with people and how to like negotiate those terms. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to that. I joined a different like real estate based community. And one of the things that this guy was teaching, he had like a couple of videos in this community. He had a whole video that was all about like calling realtors, and forget what he called it. It was like he called it like this like chess game that he was playing. Like he was basically playing like a game of chess with them where he was getting them to meticulously like kind of go through all the different reasons that their listed home could not sell for the price it was listed for unless there was seller financing. But he was getting them to go through. Like he'd be like,
smart.
So
super
it's
smart.
Listed for how much? And okay, so it must be cash flowing this much, right? Oh,
it's
no.
not. Why
and
not?
He just went through all these different things and kind of like.
Then how do you think we could get a deal done here?
He
right?
checkmated them. He would checkmate them with like, well, Well, gosh darn it. I mean, if there ain't another way to do it, I hate this idea, but I mean, maybe we finance some of it. Like,
yeah,
it's not something I would want to do.
but are they open?
And that was something that like I picked up out of the real estate world, and I think is very applicable to business buying. So I think you can definitely learn a lot from some of the tactics that get used
Smart
on the creative financing side.
It's a great point.
Also, we had a question from the audience. This guy says, Jimmy says, how do you guys stand on kill 'em with kindness?
In what terms? In what sense? What do you mean, Jimmy? What do you mean? Like what do we stand on kill 'em with kindness? Like when you're looking at buying the business from someone, or like just being overly generous with the deal, or like when they're difficult to deal with? Because when I hear kill 'em with kindness, I always think about someone who's really difficult, who is creating like a real problem with you, and instead of you being and matching their energy and responding shittily, you're just really nice to them instead. I don't know how that applies here. Happy to answer it. I just don't understand the context.
Yeah, Jimmy, let us know if you've got more kind of like ideas about what situations you're at.
Maybe he's talking about like when I would assume maybe it's partially about making the deal, like a seller trying to, having difficulties finding a price or trying to get to an agreement, like trying to give as much consolation to the, like trying to really find the seller where they're at and try to help them out as much as you can.
Yeah.
Which is something that we do. I mean, like I'm always like, look, if you're going to, like, in my personal belief, if you're willing to take on 80+% of seller financing, I in some cases will be like, why don't, what was that number that you want to that we got down from? Let's move the needle up a bit. Since you're willing to hold more of it, that must mean that you think this thing can do that. So I'll go up on your total price. So
I mean, law of price and terms, right? Yeah. Like if it's my terms and you can have your price.
I think that's very much in the kill 'em with kindness thing. We'll pick where you want to be kind at. You want to be kind to the price or kind to the terms.
Yeah. The only thing that I'd push back on that a little bit is like I find a lot of power in figuring out what doesn't work for people and what they're against and the problems that they have before getting into deals, just in general, because like everybody wants
to. Liked that answer, by the way.
Oh, great. Thanks
for the question, Jimmy.
Everybody wants to like talk about all the good stuff, like all the reasons they're wanting to sell their business and how great everything's going to be if you sell or finance, how much money everybody's going to make. Everyone wants to theory craft and dream and vision board for all the good things that are going to happen. But every business, just like every relationship, is going to be tried and tested with negative and bad situations. So as opposed to like my mindset is the total opposite. I don't want to kill you with kindness. I want you to almost think I'm horrible in the beginning. Like I want to disqualify everything I can possibly disqualify first. And then if you can get past that and we can still have I'm not going to be a dick or be super rude or whatever, but like I'm going to throw a lot of stuff out there to try to like break the deal apart. And then if it still works, then fantastic. Because now we've got all the ways that things could have fallen apart, how they could have broken out of the way. And we're looking at this still saying this makes a lot of sense for the seller and for us. Let's figure out a way to make a deal and move this forward.
Yeah, you should have seen the way he crushed my spirit before we made this investment that we made at the end of 2025.
That was a lot of money.
There was it was
a lot of money,
and I'm glad he did. No, he gave me a solid like 2 hours of just straight spirit crushing.
Okay, it wasn't 2 hours. This is like 40 minutes.
Just laid into me. But at the end of it, after my spirit was crushed, it came back and it was more prepared for what are some of the headwinds we might face. And my optimism was more level and grounded, I think.
Well,
I think it's important to do that at the beginning of any new event.
And then what happened? The opposite happened. We came out of the gates roaring. And so then it's like, now it feels even better because you had this fear of things falling apart and then good things happen alternatively. And then you're even better for it. And you're still mentally prepared if things go south.
This was junk, right?
This was junk, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Brody, I told you I would give you the cash myself. I told you that.
But see, that's the thing is everyone was so hype on the idea. Everyone was like, this is such a great play. This is a no-brainer. We've got a rock star operator. The industry is super, fragmented. There's great opportunity. It's like, And what if we're wrong? What if everything you just said is wrong? What if everything goes the opposite way around?
Oh, well, I know where he lives.
Exactly.
I'm good.
But I'm saying my thought process, and I was trying to get him to walk through that with me too, was like, okay, like, yes, like we think these things are going to happen. We're betting on this. That's the right bet. But what happens if you're wrong? Are we prepared for this if things don't work out? Because no one does that. That's the thing that drives me crazy sometimes in these business talks is it's all like rainbows and butterflies. It's like, look at life. Has your life ever been perfect the entire time, all the time? Like never. It doesn't work that way. You have phases through life where things are going awesome. You have phases of shit. That's business. You know, you got to be prepared for that.
You have to be almost excited for the challenges. Like it has
to.
You have to have almost a zest and a like
100%.
Yeah, this could like ready. That almost like readily. Yeah, that like almost excitable fear of like, yeah, this could go bad.
Yeah, and
let's do this.
And if it goes bad, here's what I'm gonna do, and here's how I'm gonna do it. And I've got the plan because I've steeled myself against this idea. You know, it's like they say in sports, like don't underestimate your opponent, respect your opponent, right? Because if you underestimate, you think this is going to be easy, we're going to crush them, and then they show a little bit of grit, you're destroyed.
What in business, your opponent is the market, and the market is undefeated.
And also very unkind, does not give a shit about you.
Yeah, the house always wins.
Right. So respect the challenge, respect the fact, because we looked at this market and we go, all these guys are doing it wrong. Are they? Is everybody got it wrong? Is everybody an idiot? We're the only smart guys in the room. You can tell me no smart guys tried to do this, right? So like just doing that thought process and analysis, I think, which applies to this conversation, whether you're starting or you're buying, like do the analysis of the cons, do your pro and con list. Don't just list all the pros and be like, cons, I lose some money. Now, what happens if you lose the money? Like, do you have more? Can you go get more? Are you going to be okay? Are you going to pay the bills or no? So,
well, I don't think if you can't do a basic financial analysis and you,
there's a lot of people doing that though. There's a lot of people just buying businesses with the house money.
I always forget
it's true
because like I have like backup plans for my backup plans.
Of course, because you're intelligent.
Well, it's obvious.
I have a mattress or two that
it's obvious to the guy with MBA.
I was gonna say you guys are also finance guys.
Oh, I know.
Who works for a company that mostly works with private equity firms.
Yeah.
No,
deals with like
investment banks.
Yeah,
investment banks.
Yeah, securities commissions.
It's obvious to you, but like that's a 1% scenario.
I mean, feel like the only people who are interested in this conversation, though.
No, well, where I came with this idea, and the reason why I crush people's souls now is because I've been that guy. I've been that guy that I have 150 grand in the bank account, and I'm putting 125 grand into this business, and I have just enough put away now to get me through the next 6 months of my life. And if money doesn't come out of this company, I'm screwed. Like I've done that, and then I've had businesses not go the way I planned.
Oh yeah.
So like. I've been in situations with less money. I've been in situations where like when I first started, like I had 20 grand in my account and I handed my business partner 19.5 and I had $500 to get me through the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, what am I going to do if we don't make any money? And he's like, well, you better start getting to work, right? You better start making some sales. Like I think a lot of people, like, I mean, I come from a background and didn't have a lot of, network or a lot of access to stuff. I don't have a particularly wealthy family. Like there's someone, it was just what I had. And then figuring out how to flip that and flip that and flip that and flip that. Right. I think there's a lot of people like me out there that go into business just going, this has to work. And they don't ever think about what happens if it doesn't.
I mean, you're talking to a guy who was, my childhood was for a long time. That was my parents doing that, being like, well, literally quote, betting the house. I mean, my parents had they took out a second mortgage to keep that business going. And, God willing, they actually, they paid their everything off this year. They got through it. But yeah, it was like, oh boy, lights not be on this week. Hopefully another, we get enough classes going in the next week to pay the electric bill.
Ask them if they want to invest in a business if they don't think about the opposite because they've lived it.
Oh, they're my best sounding board. Like you guys, we will comb through details.
100%. But that's how it should be.
I'm always thinking like if you're watching this, then odds are you have probably stumbled onto financial stuff. And you've probably seen a lot of the stories of people getting into this and going belly up very quickly. So
I think there's some folks in the comment sections that don't know anything about business, at least from the last video. I don't know about today.
Well,
this comment section
they were wise people nonetheless though.
Yeah, no, we have some great comments in here. Let me read a couple.
Good.
Jesus Christ is the giver and provider of guarantor of everlasting life.
Amen, brother. Amen.
And then a whole Bible verse afterwards.
Amen.
But then there was also, you sound gay. Take your pants off.
Which one was that?
that was earlier when we were talking to Zach.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Not from Zach, from someone else. There was also, may God bless you guys, hoping for good days.
Amen.
And Jesus Christ bless you guys.
This is a good chat.
Joey said, got Supreme Leader Biz on this one.
Supreme Leader Biz.
Some spam comments too. Listen to King Von for $10.
We like King Von.
And then someone said, am I seeing twins here? Someone said, "Hello, man. Do y'all give relationship advice?"
Oh yeah, bro.
Should we give one relationship?
Bro, we should have. You should have called that one out earlier. I would have loved to take this conversation there instead. You got to call these out. Also, I want to know who sounds gay. Was it me? Was it you? Was it which one of us? It's
I don't know.
Brody.
That was
Brody's
that was buckshot.
Yeah, he was just spraying.
That was spray and pray.
Also, who needs to remove their pants? That's the other question. Was that also buckshot? Like,
I'm assuming
No,
I'm supreme
was-
leader because if
that
you
was
look at the
two-
camera,
That
I'm
was
just
two
sitting
separate
here.
it
comments.
was two
actually.
different people.
It was you sound gay, take
And
your
then
pants
take your pants
off,
off.
and then the third one that I didn't read yet, but I'll go ahead and say it. Different. Another third person said, "So I can see your mangina." That was the other one.
Nice.
So there was some rough comments.
That's
but
great.
then we've also
That's
got
rough.
another one.
Damn, you've had an easy life.
Yeah, seriously.
Then another one. Jesus love BBC.
I don't think that's.
I mean, give me a script. I mean, maybe check your scripture, buddy. But
I like all the.
We got some good
this one's all over
Christians
the
in the
place.
chat. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you
God
guys
bless.
Absolutely.
for weighing in here.
What a conversation this has been.
Yeah, it's been good. We kind of ran long, didn't we?
No,
We
that's
did.
okay.
No, is this right?
What do you guys think was the biggest takeaway from this conversation?
Oh, that's a great question.
Get your finances
Asking
in
you
order.
in the audience too.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you said get your finances in order.
Yeah, know how much you're willing to lose and how many lives you're willing to ruin if you're going to go into business.
I mean, I know that's a grim thing to say. Like, I know
It's the truth.
I probably went a little deep there. I don't know if I probably
No,
didn't need to go
that's
that deep,
unfortunate. That's their cold. I mean, I hate to say that cold reality, but that
but
is
it's
like
it is, bro.
people's families are relying on you. You
Dude,
put up
that's-
this money.
That's stuff like that. It's only been like once or twice in my life I've had to deal with that. But like, I think about it sometimes today. Like, sometimes, you get ready to go to sleep, you think about all the horrible things that have happened to you in life. Maybe that's just me. But I think I run through and play that one every now and again. And I'm like, that sucked. Like, there is nothing worse than that feeling. And I hate to even talk about it in the sense of business, because business is a sport. We should all care about having fun in the game and like trying to enrich and increase things. But like, it is a very possible reality. And in my situation, for instance, it wasn't that they did anything wrong. That was the hardest part. It was actually great staff. Like, the staff for this particular business, they were awesome and they were doing everything they could do. And the economics of the business just didn't work, which was my fault for putting them in that position,
Yeah, because again, like you said, in that situation, it comes back onto I as the leader.
I
could
chose
not,
this.
I took this path,
Correct.
and now they have to pay.
And now they have to pay because they got on the boat with me.
Yeah.
Right. So like, yeah. So definitely, to answer your question, like, what are the biggest things? Yeah. Know your finances, know the risks, understand who you could hurt. At the same time, like, we're looking at this through the lens of trying to increase and create good things. So make sure the risk versus the reward pays off. Like, your reward just needs to be high enough that the risk makes sense, I think, at that point. Or I should say the reward, like the people around you are going to be improved and increased as well.
Yes.
I think the biggest takeaway I got was there's different answers for different people, and it depends on your background.
Sure.
And one thing I thought of earlier in the conversation that I think is big is we each only get one or two startups in us.
Yeah.
For those of us who have entrepreneurial spirit, like, we only have like I think most people only have the spirit enough to go through one or two very difficult startup phases and make it out on the other side, either unscathed or more likely very battle ridden. And so I think for those who have gone through those tough trials and maybe had some success or maybe had some good failures and learned a lot, those people, I would say, might be able to buy a business and be a little bit specific about the way that they buy it and buy right and be able to run it right. Someone getting into business for the first time buying a business, I think you would need to have a lot of professional experience in a particular industry to do well, at least on your own. But I think it just depends on who you are and what your background is, what your means are, and what you're trying to accomplish.
Love it.
Yep.
Great conversation, guys. Also, to Righteous Bandit, I do not personally know Michael Blaustein. Great comedian. Very random comment, but interesting.
Thank you, sir.
But you guys, thank you for tuning in. This has been a wonderful conversation. We do this every Tuesday night, right around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.